and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be having a look at what should you do if you have any concerns about your children at school. Who should you speak to? And what steps should you take? So, what kind of concerns am I talking about? We'll go through a few in this video, but we're going to start off with some minor concerns. Maybe some friendship issues in the class or on the playground. Now, the first thing you should do is obviously talk to your child and see what is happening. Is it something very serious, or is it something where they are being irritated and they don't know how to respond? The first thing to do is try and give your child some techniques that they can use themselves on the playground or in the classroom to try and ease the situation for themselves. For example, if someone is sat near them and they're a very chatty child and your child doesn't like this and they find they're getting in trouble along with this child when they're being distracted, try and teach them it's okay to turn around and say, "Excuse me, I'm trying to work right now. I would really appreciate it if we could have this conversation later." And explain to your child it's okay if they need to tell a teacher or an adult in the classroom that something is happening, that they are being distracted. The same applies for the playground. Try and teach your child that it is okay to say to someone, "I don't like what you're doing right now," or "What you said actually upset me, can we stop please?" Or go to an adult if it's something that is continuous. Now, if this does not work, that is then when you go to the teacher, the class teacher. Don't go above them to the year group leader or the phase lead or the head teacher. Your first port of call for any issue that you have is the class teacher. 9 times out of 10, they will be able to solve it themselves. Go and have a conversation with your teacher. Maybe give them a quick phone call or see if you can catch them at the end of the day and just mention, "Something's happened. I've been told my child is being irritated. Do you know anything? Is there anything you can suggest or that we can do together?" If you try and work with the teacher rather than get frustrated that your child is upset and take that out on them, which sometimes can unfortunately happen without you realising, your child will become happier much faster when you work together with the staff at the school. So, for minor issues such as bickering or they don't like who they're sat with, or small playground issues, communicate with your child, try and teach them techniques, and then go to the teacher if it persists. So what happens if they're not small irritations, such as a chatty child, or someone annoying you on the playground, or you don't like who you're sat next to? Well, if it is something more serious, where, for example, an injury might have occurred on the playground because children were playing too rough, but your child didn't say anything at school, that's where you need to teach them the tools to use in order to safely and happily and calmly, confidently communicate with staff at school. Sometimes issues arise and staff aren't made aware of it by the child because they're too shy to communicate it, which is fine. Everybody learns it at some point. But if you, the parent, can help them understand how to communicate with staff members at school, then it will make it 10 times easier for them, and they will grow up knowing that it's good to communicate if there's an issue, not bottle it all up inside and wait until they get home. So, if, for example, something like a game got a little bit too rough on the playground and your child got injured and they're not happy with it because they felt that someone went over the top and it wasn't an accident necessarily, then they need to go and speak to the teacher or the playground monitor or the lunchtime supervisor, whoever it is that is immediately there. That's who they need to speak to, because the sooner a problem is dealt with, the sooner everybody can have their consequence if needed, or they're talking about it and understanding what went wrong. Because what we have to remember as well is a lot of time we expect children to know things when they don't. They are learning. Some children might play a certain way at home or play a certain way outside, but they need to remember that not everybody plays the same way, not everybody likes the same things, conversations won't be the same, games won't be the same. And it takes time for children to learn that people are really different and they've got to be able to find that balance. So sometimes the form of discipline might not be, "Oh, you're going to stay in, you're not going to be able to have golden time." Quite a lot of the time, that form of discipline will be the fact that they will be educated in what they did wrong and taught what to do for the future. so that the problem never arises again. Of course, they will be encouraged and modelled to how to do it, a proper apology, and be able to work together with staff at the school and the children that were bothered by the situation on how to improve and how to learn. And usually, these problems then don't occur again because the child has learnt that what they were used to or what they thought was okay isn't the case in this scenario. But if your child does come home and say that something has bothered them, again, the first port of call is the class teacher. They are the person that has immediate knowledge of the children. They might know of the situation and haven't had a chance to contact you yet. You've got to remember that when things happen, of course, teachers and school staff try their very best to immediately contact. But if it is a smaller issue, usually at the end of the day, you will get a phone call to say, hello, I just wanted to let you know that this happened at playtime today. It was all dealt with. They're all perfectly fine, but we wanted to keep you in the loop. However, you have to remember that teachers don't get the chance to do that immediately at 3:30 once the children are gone. They do also have meetings and other parts to their job. So sometimes it might be around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock that you get a phone call. Just making sure that it is that same day. If they already know about it, they will inform you. But if it's something that you think they don't know, they would rather know. The class teacher would rather know everything and anything that is going on with the children so that they can help. Teachers just want to help. So make sure that you are in constant communication when necessary. If it is something small that you can teach your child skills to cope with or to manage themselves, such as chatty children in the playground, such as chatty children in the classroom, such as children that can play a little bit rougher and not realise on the playground. These are things that you can teach your child tools and techniques for first. And then you can make a complaint if necessary. While you're teaching these techniques to your child, you can mention it and should mention it to the teacher just to keep an eye on, and the teacher will be able to let you know, do you know what, I've noticed that she's been turning around and saying, this isn't okay. I've noticed that he's been turning around and saying, actually, that hurt my feelings. And communication's got much better. So make sure that you are teaching techniques and communicating. Now, when might things be a little bit more serious and you request a meeting with someone higher up in the school? If you believe that the class teacher hasn't done anything to support, which usually they will have done everything they can, but on the off chance that you feel that the needs of your child is not being met, or you feel that it needs to be taken a bit more seriously and you would feel more comfortable the class teacher being in a meeting with you and someone higher up, then you can request that. The first thing I would suggest is, for example, if you feel that your child is being picked on or that your child has had frequent issues, has tried to manage it, but nothing is happening, then I would suggest asking, first of all, to speak to the class teacher. And if you would like to, at the same time, speak to the class teacher and a year group leader or a phase leader, depending on what your school has, together. And usually they will be able to work with you to improve the situation. Now, when do you usually get the head teacher involved? First of all, the class teacher will have gone and gotten advice, whenever necessary, from the senior leadership or senior management team. You can always speak to one of those members, so an assistant head, a deputy head, or the head teacher, if you believe it is a very serious matter. It doesn't mean that they won't be available to talk to on the smaller occasions, but you have to remember they are incredibly busy. They put the safety of your children above everything else. So if you are concerned about the safety of your child, whether that be their physical safety, emotional, social, and you think this is something that the class teacher won't be able to do on their own, then request a meeting. But always have the class teacher present, unless you feel that it's the class teacher that's the problem. But it's always key to go to the class teacher first. So, during these conversations, what should you do? Try your best, and I know this can be hard, try your best not to get upset or angry about the situation. You're there to inform and work with the staff at the school, not be against them. You all want what's best for your child. Everybody wants to see them happy and thriving and learning. So work with the staff. It can be really hard to hold back those emotions, but try to stay calm during the conversations. Now, it can be easy to forget everything that's happened, so if it's possible, if you're talking on the phone, make notes. And if you are meeting in person, usually a member of staff will take notes, so you can ask for a copy of them, or you can write them down yourself. They won't have a problem with that. But just make sure that you have a clear understanding and there are clear steps forwards that you know they are going to be taking to support you and your child. Then, when you have a follow-up call or a follow-up meeting, you can say, okay, you said you would do this, this and this. How has that gone? How can I help my child at home? What are you going to do in the future? Or if things have gone really well, you can say, I am so glad that you did A, B and C. It's really worked. They are now thriving. Thank you so much. And just make sure you do say thank you once the problem has been resolved. The teachers will go out of their way to make sure that your child is happy and safe in school. Another thing to mention is be patient. Sometimes things take time for a result to happen. You can't change your entire mindset like that overnight. That's the same for children. It takes them a while to practice what they've just been taught from the adults and to be able to show and earn back that trust again. For example, I've had children come and tell me, or parents ring me at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. I can't do anything about it there and then, I'm afraid. It will have to wait until Monday morning. However, I've then had a call again on Monday morning saying, well, what have you done? I haven't been able to do anything. I haven't physically been here, neither have the children. Sometimes it might be, well, the other child hasn't been in. Well, I'm not going to allow it to disrupt our learning. We will discuss it later. Then you've got to be patient. It will happen. Your concerns will be heard and they will be dealt with, but they cannot always be dealt with that second. Now, if it is something more serious, if it is something that concerns their welfare immediately, if you feel like it is a safeguarding issue, then immediately things will happen. Now, one thing I found as well in the classroom is that once a situation has been dealt with, if a child was upset, I've had phone calls in from parents about their child still being upset because they felt that the other child didn't have a consequence. However, you need to remember, we are not going to invite you or your child to see us discipline another child. It will be done separate from them. We may take them out of the room, we may speak to them at break time, they may be sent to a different classroom or a teacher to speak to if necessary, but we are not going to discipline a child in front of someone else. That's not kind to them. We will, however, speak to your child afterwards and say, this is what I've done, I've spoken to them, or they've had a consequence. I might not go into detail about what that consequence is because I don't need to. The child doesn't need to know. They just need to know they are safe. The situation is being dealt with. I am communicating with them about what is happening. And parents, you need to understand that too. Yes, if possible, we will contact you and say, right, this is what I've done. This is how it's going. Please monitor this at home and we will monitor this in school. Please update me if you find anything else out that we haven't been made aware of from your child at school. Please trust your adults in the school. Please trust the teachers, the support staff, the senior leadership teams. We have your child's best interest at heart. Please trust that we know what we are doing. It can be awful waiting, but please be patient. So along with patience, just remember, if you feel like you haven't heard anything, for example, it's been a week and your teacher hasn't given you an update on the situation, give the school a phone call and just ask for an update. The teacher will get back to you as soon as they can. Catch them for 2 minutes at the end of the day or when you drop them off in the morning. But just remember, don't go over the teacher's head until you've had that second piece of confirmation that something is happening. 9 times out of 10, the teacher will be working really hard to make the situation resolved. They just may not have got round to explaining to you all the steps that have been taken. So, just remember, all staff within any school have your child's best interests at heart. They will do everything and anything they can to keep them happy, keep them safe, keep them learning. So, I'm Hannah Taylor. This is Primary Progression. Thank you for watching and have a great day.